So we're going to talk about something different today. This is a 2003 F-150, 150,000 kilometers on it, which is 90,000 miles for an American. I'm in Ontario, Canada, which is why I mentioned both. So this is the type of truck you'd go find on the side of the road in my area for $4,000 or $5,000. Now, had the paint all been peeling, you might have got this for $3,000. Still would have been solid, but... And you walk up and you start finding stuff like this. All four lower corners of the box are shot. A little bit of rust poking through here. The tailgate is absolutely flawless on the outside. And we got rust in that corner. Oh, that's a bad spot. And that's a bad spot. But then you look at the doors. They sure look minty. Fender look good. Hood shiny. And I mean the paint, look at that. Very clear. Wait a minute. See how things in the reflection are defined. And not so much. Nothing wrong with the paint on the box, but it's a little orange peel. So we know the box has been fixed up once. It's clearly going to have to be done again. So you walk up to this truck on the side of the road and you realize immediately you might need a box. But instead of the normal 300,000 kilometers you find on these trucks, it's got half of that on it. Well, maybe just changing out a box is no big deal. What's a box worth? $1,000? Probably not, but a lot of people think so. Of course, the one you buy for $1,000 off Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. We got Kijiji here in Canada, you know, whatever. The one you buy for $800, $1,000 will look better than this, but it might be where you got to do a bunch of work to it anyway. So real numbers. A box could be, in my area, from $2,000 even up to $4,000. That's what people are asking. But some wreckers want crazy money. Some wreckers bring them up from the south. Now, this guy was willing to wait. He got a box for this truck. It's coming from Texas. Well, it came from Texas. We've already seen it. It's at his place. And it is so perfect and minty. We're literally going to touch up a few handling scratches. We're going to scuff it. We're going to paint it. And all we're going to do is scuff it and paint it black and gold, just so it matches the truck. And the whole bottom side of it, because they ship them upside down, it's got this gray primer-looking paint right from the Ford factory. It looks brand new. So we're happy with that. He was able to find that for $1,350 plus tax. So say $1,500. So here's your $4,500, $4,500 truck. Another $1,500 on 45 puts you at $6,000. Well, $6,000, and there's only 150,000 kilometers on it. That's not bad. It's a nice truck. It's a good-looking truck. Whether you're a Ford, Chev, Ford guy, everything I say applies. So let's keep going. He brings it in to the Ford dealer because he's so impressed driving this thing home. The brakes work. There's a little bit of a shimmy, so he knows he needs a rotor. But it steers good. It goes down the highway nice, and it only shimmies when you put the brakes on at a harder rate. Tires all look fair. Easily pass any certification or safety check to go on the road, depending where you live and what you call it. Like, they're not amazing, but they're good. If you measured it out, it'd be fine. A little bit of weather cracking. Well, he brought this in, and they weren't worried about that, even at the dealer, because the sides and stuff weren't all checked out, and nothing split. It's very minor. At any rate, this guy's picky. He's going to put new tires on it anyway, so we don't even care. So, if you had to put tires on this truck, and that's an if, $200 a piece now, at least. So say $8,000 to $1,000 for tires. So this truck didn't need them. He told me, however, it came with the soft compound winter tires, and apparently they were brand new with like a month worth of use on them. So he's got tires. So let's not even go with tires. So we're still at 6,000. The bumpers are nice and clear. There's a couple little pits on this one. Not a big deal for now. Triton 5.4, I know the bad cams and all the crap. This one is before that. These run for a long time most of the time. I wouldn't even worry about it. There's Ford guys that can explain why in the comments. I just know that I used to work at a place where we used these trucks, like 01, 2, 3s, as delivery trucks for a lumber company. They were beat and pounded. They all had 350, 400,000 kilometers, which is what 400,000 would be 60 times 4. So there's your miles for the guys south of the border. These trucks are pretty tough. You know, you'd eat up like an axle bearing or a seal or something once in a blue moon or something like that. Brakes and tires constantly, you know, because you're putting a lot of miles on a delivery truck. So a truck that needs a box seems like a good price. Till he brought it in for the brakes, and he needed bearings because the whole front had never been touched on this truck. So there is, you can actually see a nice shiny tie rod and shiny parts coming off the brake lines. And the reason the frame is nice and black, it was so clean, he rubbed it all down and painted it with Chassis Saver. Upper control arm's brand new, lower ball joint. Whole bunch of stuff. $2,000 just in the front end. Brand new exhaust, Y pipe all the way to the very back, $2,000. Well, our $6,000 truck just became 10 grand. There was some kind of noise in the rear end. They couldn't figure it out. They tore it apart. It was a wet axle seal and something was dripping. They fixed that. There's a newer gas tank in the truck. Another $2,000. All within a few weeks after buying this truck. So what happened was, hey, it is what it is. Everything was all original stuff that was 21 years old. And even excuse me, even though the guy didn't drive it much, you know, he looked after it and stuff. Like, it never gave him any problems, so he didn't worry about it. So what else went? Oh, with the rear end, the 2000 wasn't just whatever stuff they did to the rear end. It also included, I don't think I'm going to be able to show it. I showed it in the last video. There's a little tube here, but on the inside of the seat. In an accident, pulls your seat belt. Well, when they go bad, lights on the dash stay on. And in my province, that won't pass the certification, so that had to be replaced. So that was part of the rear end. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're at like 12 grand. And then we get into my last video, rocker panels. So it had nice form-fitted running boards, and they fit tight with a gasket, and they all rotted at the front. So basically, when we took it apart, it looked like a big shark come up under here and bit it. And it rusted away. So this is what we had to buy. Now, these weren't even available in Canada. And I think they cost them $400 a piece with shipping because they came from Tennessee. For whatever reason, no one in Canada stocked them. And for whatever reason, look, it's an easy explanation. 21-year-old truck. The model changed in 04. There's not a lot of these trucks on the road, so that nobody stocks that. So $800 for a pair of those, and we only need half of them. Now, realistically, I could have made that, but the guy bought it before he brought the truck to me, so he just assumed he'd need them. And he did go to a couple of the big collision shops, and they said, you got to replace them. Well, we're going to replace half, and that's it. We already did one side. We're going to do the other side this afternoon and tomorrow. Now here's your rocker panels, 390 some bucks a piece. There's another 800. 1,600 just in parts. Then he made these. Don't know what those cost. That basically is part of the floor that sits inside against the inner rocker. And then this piece here, this lip he left on, will fit underneath the original floor. Of course, we found out when we did this side, big chunk of the floor was gone. Not a big deal. I cut a flat plate and we put it in. So I can't even remember what price we were at. It was like 12 grand or something like that. And so we're easily at $14,000 right there. When you add all that together, doesn't even include my labor. So you can see where the rocker is full, and then here we sliced it and we ran it down in that body line. Now the substructure in the inner is all welded. This panel, he wanted it glued on. He brought me a tube of adhesive, another $100. And I bought a second tube because it's going to be tight. He really wanted to glue the rocker skins on, but at any rate, we did it. As you can see, I'm not a huge trustee in the glue. I've got a few rivets to pull it tight. Now that being said, when I did this, we had like 6, 7, 8 pair of vice grips and like a dozen clamps across the bottom until it all dried. So it's on there pretty good. As far as whether or not the panel bond adhesive glues work, they seem to. If you try to pull something apart, you're going to tear the metal most of the time. But I don't know. I prefer weld. But he said this is what he was told and that's what he wanted. So we did it. But I told him all the inner structure had to be welded because that's all strength. So hopefully that'll be all right. The guy that's doing the certification said it would be totally fine. Now, we could have literally cut this straight down here and butt welded them together. But there's a pinch weld under here. And I didn't want to chance that. You can see rivets every so often, just in case. It takes quite a time for it to cure, especially when it's humid. So you want to make sure everything is tight so that glue has a chance to cure hard. If you pop anything early, sometimes you'll hear it crack, and it almost seems like it'll let go. Now, I know that because I've experienced it in the past, just, because you glue on quarters and stuff now. Not a big deal. Most of the rear quarters hang up around. They almost pinch on, and the glue's just there to help. But they sit pretty relaxed once the glue's hard. You're cutting it off. You're not pulling that glue. So whether or not that's a great idea on rockers, I know that's a bit of a gray area, but in this case, I would have preferred to have plug welded them all in, but he wanted them glued on because that's what he was told. That's what we did. I'm not arguing with the customer, and I called the mechanic because I know him. He's around the corner from my house. He says, no. He goes, you can glue them on. That's totally fine. He goes, if you put screws in, everyone takes them out. He goes, just leave them in. So, whatever. I put rivets in where the screws would normally have been to hold it in, and then we clamp the hell out of it. So it's good. Now by the time I paint the box, fix the rockers and all the hourly time, this is going to be like an $18,000-$19,000 truck. So if you're a young guy and you bought this, it could suck. Now at the end of the day, he's going to drive this for an easy 10 years after we change the box and paint everything. But he will have some maintenance. The tailgate looks beautiful. There's a bit of peeling on the inside of the bottom of the tailgate that'll have to be addressed. We're just going to rub it off and hit it with some rust fix. And when I say rust fix, just this stuff right here, spray it on, it converts, it turns it black. And then we'll probably put some gravel guard right over top of that after it dries for 24 hours. It seems to work. There's better rust converters, but his thought was, well, just do that and then we'll see how the tailgate lasts. And if it holds out, cool. And if it doesn't, he'll put a new one on. But he can do that down the road because it does look perfect. And the other issue would be the roof. I don't know if I'll be able to show that. It's hard to tell in the light. Let's come around to this side. I think this side was worse. Maybe we can actually see it. Yeah, we'll be able to see it. There's a little bit of clear delamination, but there's no bubbles, no blisters, no rust. So we're gonna have to paint the roof panel. Now, because it's still healthy, I just said to him, look, once we fix what we fix, drive it for a year. If anything else is happening, we'll paint the roof and touch up whatever else is going on, whether it be the tailgate or whatever. And other than that, the only rust on the truck, underneath the fender lip where it bolts on, a little bit of peeling. I'm actually going to put some proper rust converter on that, the better stuff, because I think the fenders will hold out if we do that with the good stuff. And then we'll gravel guard those as well. Basically just like an under... Actually, we don't do gravel guard here. I do a paintable undercoating, and I just tape off the bottom like the factory does. We spray that across, and what it'll do is any stone chips coming up off the tires or dirt road or whatever, it'll impact it. So even if you pop a little chip out of the paint, you know, you got a rubberized undercoating there that's gonna hold it off that much longer. Now that only works if you don't bury rust and stuff. So that's why my rocker's cut the way it is. I didn't need to do the back half, but that whole bottom back half is new. It's gonna buy them more time. We're also gonna fill that with oil or cavity wax, whatever we decide to use at the end. But you know, so the inside will be protected, the outside's protected. It's going to be a nice truck, but I mean, is this worth $20,000? Because once he certifies it and a little bit of money and whatever, this is going to cost him 20 grand. Well, for 20 grand, he's got a truck with 90,000 miles on it, and it's going to be a nice looking truck. The interior is like brand new. It's very clean. The box liner isn't even all wore to hell. It's actually pretty decent. Like, it looks clean. It's got the Ford on it. Like, it's not gray in color. You see a little bit of dirt here and there, but it's nice. They're like, is it worth it? Well, put it this way. You're going to spend $60,000+ to buy this equivalency new, at least, where I live in this province. You're going to get 10 years out of that. Then it's going to need all the work that this needs, and possibly more expensively, because the newer they get, the more they cost to fix. So for 20K, he can drive this easily for 10 years, easily. And it'll be nice, it'll work good, it'll be fairly reliable. And if anything goes wrong, so you fix it. But it'll never amount, even if you had to redo a transmission or an engine, it will never amount to the cost of a new truck to run that same time, even if all you're doing is making payments. So if you're a young guy, this would be a nightmare. If you're a guy that doesn't care and you can afford it, yeah. So when people say, I found a 15, 20-year-old truck, guy's crazy, he's asking like $15,000 for it, $20,000. Well, now you know why it's got such a big price on it, right? Costs a lot to do these up. Anyway, hope that helps somebody, and maybe it don't. I just thought it'd be a fun discussion. The truck's here. Let's do a video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.